So some pretty major news if you're a Joss Whedon fan. Let me get right to it. Is the Whedonverse coming back in the MCU in a major way? No, but it may come back in a minor way. Although the way it will come back is a little puzzling, and it may not include Joss per se. It will include the Whedon family, because the Whedon family was behind, quote, the TV side of Marvel. And maybe Joss will have a very minor role, but any major role, probably not. And again, these are rumors. It's hard to verify these things, and we need more documentation, but here is essentially what's happening. It's actually fairly simple, that the MCU was constructed to push toy sales. You may not believe that, but that is what the agenda was. And so they were fearful of putting in too many female characters because the thinking was only the male characters would sell as toys. The original idea for the Avengers was to make it an all-male team. They changed it slightly to include Black Widow, and of course Joss was allowed to do a lot with the female characters. But even the construction of the Avengers is kind of just made up. They didn't want to use the Korean Scrolls because they didn't want to do a very complicated story. And even Thanos being teased at the end was for Joss fan service. It was not meant to tease the Infinity War or, quote, Endgame stories. That was not the point. It was just a cameo. That was it. It was not meant to go anywhere else. But as they kept going further and further, they kept focusing on Thanos. But the key item here is toy sales. Now, that's the good news and bad news. So at this point, Feige is trying to move away from the prior focus, which was on Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor. And he was hoping to focus on a new triad with Black Panther, Spider-Man, and Captain Marvel. For various reasons, that's not going to work out because tragically the actor behind Black Panther is dead. Spider-Man is the only consistent seller, and Brie Larson apparently is disillusioned with her time at Marvel. Not due to Feige, but due to the backlash by a lot of the toxic fandom and the alt-right people. And the good news, bad news for the Whedonverse is this, that they're willing to resurrect any part of Marvel, except for two places. So they're willing to bring back characters who are dead through the multiverse. They're willing to basically replay old stories. They just don't care. The focus is on toy sales. And so any canonically dead character, they can be revived. It doesn't matter if they're, quote, part of the non-canonical universe. They don't care about that. They're going to use whatever is popular to sell it as toys and or films. However, he's making two exceptions. One for Edward Norton. There was just a lot of friction with Edward Norton when he did the Hulk. Feige's kind of burned out on that experience, so he doesn't want to deal with Norton again. So where does that leave Joss Whedon? Well, by saying that any part can be resurrected, that means the TV side with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. could come back in. However, that's a possibility. And this is where the other restriction comes in, that he doesn't want to work with Joss Whedon again. It's not clear why he doesn't want to work with him, but apparently it's not due to these scandals. That's not the reason. I would assume, in terms of the anecdotes, what happened is that he fought for the Russos and their creative decisions against some people in the, quote, Marvel hierarchy. Again, this is when he did not have full control. To give him a lot of credit, he did fight those battles, but apparently he was very exhausted from all that. So from now on, he just wants directors who will follow the plan to maximize toy sales, and they're going to stick fairly close to the scripts, and that's about it. But Joss being Joss, he might have too much power as an auteur director, and I guess they don't want to risk that, so they're like, we'll rather work with directors who can be controlled, or directors who are more amenable to changing their plans, and that may not be Joss Whedon. But as far as I know, the restriction of not including Joss Whedon per se is due to the auteur status. It's not because of the, quote, scandals. On the other hand, they may be willing to use part of the Whedonverse on the TV side because they're willing to use anything that will sell. And we have some confirmation of this through Daredevil. But again, the Daredevil show that they're doing does not include the creative people that did the Netflix version. The Whedonverse may come back, but it's only in a weak, kind of frail way.